Talking about build quality of some clubs that you may not see normally. We're going to talk about some fittings that we did over the weekend, and then we're going to talk about some questions that you want to ask. All next on What's in My Drawers Golf Talk. Welcome back. Jim McCleary here. What's in My Drawers Golf Talk. Why what's in my drawers? Because old club makers, club fitters are tremendous pack rats, and I'm no different. And this is where we talk about golf club repairs, golf club reviews, golf club fittings, golf club opinions, and a lot of stuff in between. And that's what we like doing here. If you would, like, subscribe, hit that bell across the bottom, whatever other icons that are down there. If you're on Facebook, same thing, hit the like. And that way, more of this information gets out to the YouTube universe. Now, before we even get into this, I do have another video coming up on Tuesday, which is tomorrow, and it is a continuation of my testing of those shafts right there. What that was is we found that, now that you guys seen it for a week, that I gravitated towards the 95 gram shaft in S-Flex. So I also have three or four other shafts that are in that same range, and I wanted to test them to see which one was best. And that's the one I'm going to pick, and that's what I'm going to make my next set of irons with. So watch that on Tuesday, and we'll see what happens. All righty. We got all that out of the way. That was pretty doggone quick. Okay. Let's start with fittings. So I did some fittings this weekend, and we had a gentleman or a cousin of a cousin. I guess they're cousins, if you'd say that. There is came up from Nashville to be with a cousin that was, I believe he was over to the east by about an hour and 40 minutes. So both of them had a substantial drive, and they came here, and they said they had a bad experience at a larger retailer, and they wanted to see what we could do. And it turned out to be quite a large amount of fun. They couldn't have been any two different types of swings. And this is the whole idea. This is my whole thing about getting fit. All right. One was 32 years old. The other one was 35 years old, I believe. And one was this smooth, easygoing swinger, just not a real lot of load on the shaft. Right at the cusp of a stiff range, just right in the regular to stiff range, right in that area. The other one was an outgoing fella and very aggressive in the swing and much, much higher, at least 10 mile an hour faster, and just totally different. But they're the same shape and size as far as height, build, the way they stood to the ball, that kind of stuff. So when we started doing parameters, we started seeing some very similar parameters to the point we saw that I had to make them, they both enjoyed an inch shorter club. All right. Now, these guys were playing with clubs that were anywhere from a half inch to 3/4 of an inch long. And they were wondering why behind the ball. I mean, just bad, overspinning. You name all the bad things you can do, and they were basically doing them. Okay. Once we decided that we could get an inch short, all of a sudden it was easier to swing. It was easier to make contact. It was just easier. The quality of your hit went way up, and so now you're getting more out of the golf club, not more out of you, more out of the golf club. Okay. And so this guy, I put them both in different clubs, right? Both different clubs, different shafts, and I got them both out probably 15 yards further than they were before. Now, keep in mind that that's saying a lot, but they were both playing, well, maybe it's not so bad. They were both playing in the new Hogans, right? Not the old Hogans, but the new Hogans. So the new Hogans are a little stronger. They're more of a traditional lofted type club. And I got one into a Mizuno club and the other one in a Strixon club. And the Callaway was a very, very close second in both cases, but it became a price. All right. And that's just part and parcel of picking it up. So we went through the whole gambit. Now, starting with the putter, they both had different putting strokes, and we had two different styles of putters. And one had to be a little taller than the other because of the way that they approached putting. And that's pretty cool. And they both were just drilling it. My statement on putting, either next week or the week after, I'm hoping next week, we're going to have Sam Han on here. He is the owner CEO of Lab Putters, and we're going to talk about the Lab putter that I'm getting ready to get, and we're going to go through. So get your putter questions ready, because this guy is not shy, right? Not shy. So it'll be a ton of fun, and he's really good right off the cuff. So it'll be a ton of fun, I'm sure. All righty, so we did that. We went through the irons, and then we got to the driver, and they were like, "Oh, I'm so bad at the driver. I'm so la 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 la," and we got them hitting them out there pretty decent. And I was really, really, uh, not surprised per se. I got the guy that swings really fast. I got him out to 300, and I got the other guy out to about 240. Almost, I got him out to 250 on a couple of shots, but 240, 245 the average, and not too bad. Now, you would think, oh, this guy's all about the paradigm, and I am. I like the paradigm. However, that wasn't the club of choice. One of them was a Wilson, and I believe the other one was a Mizuno. I believe one might have been paradigm. So it just goes to show, same make and body type, and you can have similar stats, but because of the way that you swing and the way that you go through the ball can cause a tremendous, tremendous different choice in the way that you select your equipment, right? And the stuff that you see getting advertised all over the place is not necessarily what is going to fit you. So go to a fitter, uh, have them explain your fitting process, and be right up front with the with the brands that you carry and what you look at, so that they know that they're not coming in at a surprise. All right, there's my fitting spiel, and yeah, I just hope you take it to heart. All right, so some of the stuff that we got going on in the shop. Number one, we're going to say there's thanks to Simon. Simon got himself a McGolf apron, and he got himself a McGolf divot tool. And Simon is in Australia. So, hoorah. Thank you very much, buddy. Also, we still got some of the hats left over, but they are actually got the new style. I think this is really is helping out a lot. All righty. Thing that we made. Let's see. There we go. This was a set going out to Cincinnati. And if you can see to the left, that's a Mizuno hybrid. These are 221s. That's the blade. And these are some T22s in Mizuno. And that's the Makefield. We like calling it the Baby Moon. They call it the Pro model. All right, they call it the Pro model. We put some 105 shafts in there so they could hit them, and some Tour Velvet grips. Now, there's a couple things going on. That set was made for a guy in his 70s. So you got to remember that. Now, he also got this Makefield putter. As you can tell, it's very small. Okay. I suppose if I'm going to show the name, I better do it like that. It's very small. We call it the Baby Moon. And he did not want any lines. And so we made a phone call to say, hey, can we get one without a line? And after a few phone calls, they said yes. And about a week later, it showed up on our doorstep. So congratulations to them. I think that's awesome. All righty. So stuff that I didn't take pictures of because we're not quite done with them yet. But I want to give a shout out to Takomo. All right. Takomo was sent here this, and we put in with the request to put in those. And these are Tour 120s in the X Flex. All right, Tour 120s in the X Flex. And this is the 101. Okay, the 101. I went and did a little research on Takomo, And they went from having 101s, they got 201s, and now they have 301s. The 201 is a soft, this is a hollow body, so you can tell by that guy right there. A soft shell, so to speak, with a milled face. And what does that do? That gives it the ability, it gives it a soft support and the ability to, move lofts and lies around. And then the milled face gives it a little bit of a spring attachment. Now, the lofts on these are very, very strong. It's a 23, I believe it's a 23 degree 5 iron. And when you have a 23 degree 5 iron, it goes pretty far. So this kind of hits home in a lot of cases. You get the really cool blade look, right? The really cool blade look, and it's not gaudy at all. I mean, you got your little logo here, and it's got that blade look. Now it's got a bit of a wider sole from a blade, but that's characteristic of a hollow body. Okay, and if I look at it this way, and I look down, I say it's got a medium low offset. So you've got a forgiving blade in the bag, at least what most people would see, and you're going to hit it pretty far, making good contact. So I don't see that being a problem. Now, the owner of this one, he said he wanted a black and white ferrule to go with his black and white grips. And so you saw what he got. All right, another one, which we're going to go over the build quality here in a minute. The other one is the Wilson Dynapower. All right, this is my second set, I believe. And you can see the power holes for giving the face a little bit more bounce. We're starting to see that, right? A bounce in the face. And this one is got I would say, a medium to large offset. And these are very strong as well. These are more forgiving from a measurement standpoint than anything else. And these go with a Nippon that's the Neo 950s, and they worked really, really well with them, to the point when we fit those, it was clearing away the winter. So good for them. Now, the as far as build quality, when I mean this, these come to me in heads, and I build them. And what I do, well, the Takomos got sent to me, but I suppose I could get them. And if Takomo, if you're watching, if you want to send me a set of lefties, just the 6 iron for testing, here I am. Here I am. So anyway, what I do is I measure them, right? I go to weigh them. We check their hosels, the whole 9 yards, in order to make sure that we can build a consistent set. And in both cases, they started off in, I like to see about a 254 to 256 number, 256 being on the high end for a 5 iron, 254 on the low. Now, most of the Japanese OEMs, they're going to start around 252, 251, and so they can add a little weight. And because when you get that 254, 256, you're in a standard weight category of about a D2, D3. And if you go lower, and the other ones are lower, that's just what it comes out. Okay. In both cases, they came out exactly where we wanted them to be, at their designated number, and then that 7 grams all the way down. One of them was a little heavy at the pitching wedge, and at the pitching wedge, I'm okay with that one, because the idea is get under the ball, make a good swat at it, and get it up in the air. So a little heavier is more attributed to all that weight that goes across the bottom, so that helps it get up. And you guys saw them; they look really good. So not bad. I mean, they're really good. So of course I've got to bend them next. I got to do the lofts and the lies to see how far off they are, and if history shows, neither one of them in right-handed should be too bad. Left-handed, the Dynapower going to need a little help if what I received is any different. Lastly, from a fitting for a lady that I fit 20 years ago, probably the very first lady I ever fit. She retired a while back, and she's been playing the irons that I've made for her 20 years ago. And she came in, it was time to change it up. And good for her, right? And we ended up with those. All right, the Big Bertha BB23 Revos, the Revos. So if you look at it from this point of view, It's kind of upside down when you do that, so let's do it like this. There we go. Big Bertha, Callaway. Now this one is a multi-piece club. As you can tell right here, very wide sole. It's got a little bit of offset on it. In fact, it's probably in the medium-large area. Wider sole. Good construction. I like this one. And then it's finished off with an Ascent, an Aldila Ascent. And this is in the ladies flex, and then with a men's standard grip, I believe. Yep, men's standard grip. Now, you go, okay, Jim, that's really fun and funny, but it's a standard club. What's so smart about it? Well, it's a 35-inch, keep this in mind, 35-inch 5-iron. I'm pausing for dramatic effect. Now, 35 inches is again very, very small. The lady that I fit back then, very, very small. And she's still very, very small. She did not grow up in her older age. So we put her through it. She hit him a little bit better. Actually, she hit him a lot a bit better, and that's what we made for her. And she too fit into a Wilson driver. No, she didn't. I'm sorry. She fit into the Revo. She was pretty much across the board the Revo. It was working very, very well for her. So good for them. All right. So there we go. I made it all the way to the top. Let's go with what we got going at the top. All righty. Slats. Hope the weather is nice. Is it here in SoCal? Well, you know what? I forgot to talk to you.
She's Wilson. You were right the first time.
Oh, it was Wilson. Wilson. That's right. Wilson. That's right. She fit into the Wilson driver with a VRTX red shaft. That one. And she hit that one better. And it worked out really well. We're waiting on the ferrules to be correct. So the last thing I want to tell you, show you guys, is that it was actually golf weather conducive on Sunday. Rained like cats and dogs on Friday and Saturday, but Sunday I got a lot of that. That's a par 5 that's almost 600 yards long. And that's basically what I was looking at all day, that kind of setup. And there's another. This was the par 3 right after it. And I got this one. It's kind of like you're on top of the world because you're looking right at a water tower and you're almost, just slightly below it as opposed to really below it. Good layout. Good layout indeed. So, and I shot a 79. I got a 39 and a 40. And this is part of the getting ready for the lab putter. I took out the Makefield and I averaged 2 putts a hole with 1 3-putt and 1 1-putt. And I'll be damned if I didn't get that last 3-putt on the very last hole. I probably wasn't thinking very well, but I had the width of the entire green from the very edge of one to the very edge of the other. And I hit it as hard as I thought I needed to. Ended up 6 foot short. And I putted the next one, and it was looking right in the hole. And it looked up at me and stuck its tongue out at me and said, no, I ain't doing that. So it wasn't like I missed it bad. I just didn't get it all the way. So good round as far as I'm concerned. All righty. There we go. Last minute. Oh, you mentioned fittings are jerking broke down into separate sessions. Driver was there. Did you discuss what a session encompasses? Okay. So the very first part of a session has nothing to do with any of that stuff. It's called the interview process. The interview process is twofold for us. We give a form, just like you go to the doctor's office, that gets your pertinent stuff: name, address, email, preferences, things you don't want to do with clubs, things you do want to do with clubs, all that across the board. And then and maybe in some how you play, if you have a medical issue that might stop you from doing something, and we go from there. And while they're doing that, Mr. McGolf and I are looking at their clubs and to see if maybe these clubs are the result of their misses. And it's called specking. Once we get through that, then I get to talk to the golfer ask them what their goals are, what do they want, and then we talk about the process that I use to get through this so that there's no question. That's what I'm trying to remove. They have all my expectations. I get all their expectations, and they know my process, and it's very straightforward. And then we get all done. I ask them at the end, "You have any questions for me?" I've yet to have anybody ask me anything about it other than maybe a couple of test questions, and that's about it. So then we get into the drivers, irons, and woods, wedges, that kind of thing, and I go for the right length. Okay, the right length is first for me because that is consistency. Now, somebody had sent me an email asking me about that, and I'm trying to think of where they're at. They are behind me, right back in here. Those are my test clubs. They are all the same head, same shaft, same grip, same flex, same everything except for length. All right. Now, I've been questioned, can you use one head and screw them into all the same shafts? Yeah. Yeah, you can, because if you're using that head to make all those adjustments, it's the same thing. I've just had those for so long that I know how they react and I know what's going on with them. So that's the reason why I do that. And in fact, there they are right there. They're all right there. And so that's what that is. And then what's going on after that is we're going to hit 3 balls apiece with some impact tape. And I'm looking for the tightest pattern you can generate, regardless of where it's at on the face. All right. Now I can tell you that they're also, you're like, oh, what if it's graphite with steel? It doesn't make a difference at this point. I'm just looking for the pattern. All right. In fact, we hit range balls because I don't care about, the flight will be the same. It won't be identical to hitting the other ones because I'm just looking for the pattern. All right. While that's going on, I'm watching your technique and to kind of get a feel for the how you load and unload a club, and that will tell me about profiles I need to look at. And then based on numbers I get to see, we'll talk about flex and weights. Okay. Then we'll do a lie angle test. And lie angle test is interaction with the turf. About bringing it to the center, that's secondary. We get there. Then we talk about what side of the fairway you hit most often. That will help us with offset. And then we're basically, if you notice what I'm doing is I'm isolating different parameters so that it can get us into a category of club selection. So we're not hunting and pecking. This is a valid estimation to get you into the right spot. And then then the golfer becomes part and parcel of this, where I start giving them golf clubs based on their goals and their preferences. And we get them out there in order to, get them to where they like what they see. And that's what I tell them. Once you hit 4 or 5 shots, you tell me whether you like looking at it, did you like the feel of it, that kind of thing. Because now my job is also to inspire confidence. So when confidence happens, you swing better, the better strikes, the whole 9 yards. All right, so then we get through that. Then at the end of that, we find out the types of courses that you play and how you play to pick out a set in order so that you don't have a high-priced tomato steak in your bag, i.e. something you're never going to use. Now we go through the same kind of processes for the driver, and the wedges are kind of following behind the irons, and the wood / hybrids are somewhere in between, because now we have what we like in irons, what we like in drivers, and then we find out whether they're hybrids or they're fairway wood users. 9 times out of 10, you gravitate towards one or the other. It's a rare bird that does both. Okay. And we go through the same way in the same kind of concept in the putter fitting, except for I have a putter jig where it goes up and down, back and forth, and to get you over top of it. And we'll go through that in a couple of days. So that's what it is, partner. Hopefully it helped. Jim Anderson, sir, how are you? Hey, Bonnie Scotland. Thank you, sir, for staying up that late. We appreciate it very much so. All right. Mr. Joe, how are you, sir? If you were to design a golf club, what golf club would it be, and what expectations would you have for the golf club? Oh, my goodness. Well, I would look at something that, if I only got to design one, number one, I would design it that would fit the lion's share of golfers. So if you know what a bell curve is, and I know you do, and you got a bell curve underneath that bell curve. So we wipe out the 10 percenters or the 15 percenters of the guys that are really, really, really good, and the bottom 10 percenters, 15 percenters that are just getting started. Now, it's not that I want to exclude them. It's just that, like just talking about the fitting, not one size fits all. Then what I would do is I would tend to, much like this Takomo thing, I would look at I would kind of look at a hollow body. And I don't want a big, gross, fat, wide hollow body. I want one that's a little more narrower. Now, I'm not saying that Takomo is gross and fat. It's not. But more like in the Rogue Pro. Okay, more like in the Rogue Pro, and it's a little narrower in its setup, and the top line's a little narrower. I would make it a stronger club, probably not a 23-degree 5-iron, but probably in that 24, 25, which seems to be the new traditional one. I'd make it like that. I would include the gap wedge in the set. We tend to miss that in a lot of these cases. You need a gap wedge if you're going to have all this strong stuff. And then I would give it a modicum of offset. I say small to medium, medium to large, that kind of thing. I would shoot right down the groove for something that was, I don't like a lot of offset will throw a lot of people off, and no offset will throw a lot of people off. Just enough to make it look comfortable, and that's where I would go with that one. So, and I would have a rounded sole. I'm not a flat sole guy, because when you do that, you got to kill the leading edge so it's not a digger. I like a rounded sole. Rounded soles to me are more utilitarian. They're more useful in a lot of different environments. So what does that all accomplish? Number one, a hollow body can be extraordinarily forgiving because it's all about the striking area and its perimeter weighting, and then you're putting this cap on the back. The cap suffices as stuff, but you can make it very forgiving and then make it look very sleek. So it's got bag appeal. Then you put all those specifications in it so that it would fit a lot of people. And then you have the right setup. I probably wouldn't go much higher than a 4 in a set, go down 4 into a gap wedge. And then I would make it for both sides, lefties and righties. All righty. Mr. Matt got a 70 into the round today. Here, I thought I was doing good at 79. Describe your goals for the year after playing a few rounds. I need to work on my short game doing yard work, so I will not be live today. Well, it is nice out, but I'd take every advantage of it. I would say I've only had one round, so it's not after a few, but right now, if all things are the way they are, I need to learn to get off the tee better. I just did not hit the driver very well. I did hit a few decent shots, but I just need to. It's a confidence factor. Need to get in that groove and hit off the tee better. That's my thing. Mr. Emmanuel, what do you say, sir? Good evening, Jim and Robin, and the rest of us golf mechanics. 80 last week, very good. My goal for tomorrow is no bogeys on par 3s and par 5s. Have a bunch of goals written in my journal. Well done, sir. That's a good one. Michael Moody, hello. Glad you're on. My number one goal for this year is less than 10% first putts left short by July. I'm at 52%, down from 82. Oh, very cool. So you don't want to be a lag putter, huh? That's my last round yesterday. And of course I'm putting in the dew, but that's not an excuse. Well, I guess it is. Every putt I had, I was within this far from the cup, this far, and it was fun. I mean, I'll take tap in pars all day long, and then it becomes just a ability to get to the hole. I was all day with that, so yeah, I'm with you. 5-foot putt is the same as a 300 drive practice champ putt. There you go. Thanks, Michael. I practice chipping and putting 3 times a week. My driver is my favorite club in the bag. Maybe I need to come see you. Mike Wilson, greetings from hot Southeast Texas. Yes. Mention length is critical. What is the best way to measure your correct length? Well, Mike, and not to sound like a turd on legs, but the best way to do it is by dynamically hitting golf balls. And what do I mean by that? Just like I said, you put the impact tape on the face and you hit 3 golf balls. You don't need much more than that, 4 tops, and look for the pattern. And if it's not making a pattern, if you're all over the map, chances are that's not the right one. In fact, if I had my last fitting here, you would see it. It was all over the map. There was one in the heel, and all of a sudden, one right in the middle, a little high, but it was right there. The length is paramount. How many different lengths do you use in your fittings, and do you have different lies for each one of them? So, Phil, what I start out at, I start out an inch short, and I go in half-inch increments. So, an inch short, half an inch short, standard, half an inch over, inch over. Actually, I go up to 39 and a half, so an inch and a half over. I made a 40-inch driver for an NBA, or 40-inch 5-iron for an NBA guy, but I don't know where it's at right now because obviously I'm not going to use it very often. But that's where they're at. Now, do I have different lie angles for each one? That's a good question. I do adjust for the extremes. The half inches out from either side, no, but the inches out, yes, I do, because that can be very telling. Although tall, short, or whatever, if you're hitting it correctly, you can either use it as a telltale or try and get him confidence. However you want it. What I mean by that is, so if you get very, very tall, you might need to be a little bit flatter in order for it to work, and vice versa. It could go, but if you leave it standard and they're hitting out on the toe quite a bit, then that maybe bring that thing up and that'll help you. That one's preference. But I adjust at the extreme, keep the ones in the middle the same. But at the end of each one, when we find the right one, and then we do a line angle test, I go measure on my machine what it is each and every time so that I have a real number. Manuel says, you ever not sold a club to a customer because they're mechanics and recommended a lesson to find their swing? Yes, I have. Yes, I have, Emmanuel. There's been 3 times that I've stopped the fitting, and you got to tell them there's just no golf club I can make that will help you with your problem, and because your problem is mechanical, not equipment related, and we will stop. And in the beginning, I would say, okay, we're just going to go into a lesson, and we start lessons, and I've done that 3 times. Now, in 2 of the 3 times, they took it as a challenge and went to somebody that was way better than me at giving lessons, a lady that was about an hour out of here, and gives great lessons. And they came back super duper improved. Just amazingly improved. And then we did a fitting then. Nowadays, if I haven't seen it so much just yet, but I have seen where there were some pretty extensive mechanical issues, and I would ask them, hey, does your elbow hurt, or does your shoulder hurt, does your back hurt? And if they say yes, then I know that's the mechanical issue, and I will just address it right then and there before we even get started so that they can get that swing wore into the fitting. Hello, Charlie. 15, sir. Thank you very much. Stu, how do you work out length and life for a player? Is it basically trial and error? Nope. For someone who blocks it, do you automatically put them in a more upright lie? And again, no. So, as we've been saying, I'm not going to go over how we measure it because I've already said that twice now. However, we know that it's not trial and error. We know that we've hit it and we've found it and we know why. We've done the testing for lie angle and we know why. If somebody is blocking a club, it's a lot of times it could be because the club is too long. Okay. The other one is because you're coming too far from the inside. All right. A block is the negative to a draw or even the negative to a hook. Normally that means that your path is coming inside and you've not closed the club face and it's just going straight out with the path. And so you're just basically holding on to it. So what do I mean by that? All right. So here's one of here's one of the things we go through. So you guys are getting a lot of my fitting stuff here. So what I normally see is when people block or people slice is that they try to guide the ball. All right, they try to guide the ball. So when they finish, the club comes up and looks a lot like this. And this is facing the fairway. All right, it's looking like that. Now, I guarantee you that if you were to bring the club back into its playing position back into here, that if you were to look down on it, it would be like that. All right, super duper open to the target line. And so instead of coming up and coming through like this, you need to come up and come through like that. All right, and I make it akin to throwing a baseball. If you throw a baseball, and for those of us who played baseball, the rule of thumb, wherever those fingers are pointed, that's where that ball's going. Okay, you don't have a choice. So if you think about this as like the fingers, and you throw it, and you want it up and down going through there as you're swinging through, right? You don't hold on to it. The other part of that is that when you take a swing with a baseball bat, what happens is the weight of the club or the weight of the bat almost forces you naturally to go from here to here. Now I'm being very extreme with this, I know, but it gets you from here to here. Okay, this is natural. This is if you're waiting and you're just taking and you're talking with your buddies and you're just swinging with one hand. This hand goes. It goes like this, right? Because the club is turning and it's turning in your hand and it's doing like that. So it's going, and it's doing it naturally. All right. You are using muscles and effort in order to make the swing go like this and not turn, right? In order to be like this. That's a problem. And that's so if you can get it to turn over or get it to where the toe is coming up, a lot of that goes away. And that can be either one to get you into the right length of club. The other one could be in the right weight of the club. And that's what we're looking at. All right. Good round, Emmanuel. Scores are coming down. There we go. All right. There you go. PZ, cheers, golf people, and hit the thumbs up. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Pooh's back in the house. What do you think? Pew pew. All right, just taking delivery of my new ZX7 irons. Won them on something. Well, good for you. Those things, I'm here to tell you, that's what I used when I was doing my shaft testing. Great iron. It is a good iron. Danny Freeman, they moved our 9-hole wing ding to Monday nights, and I won't be able to listen live. I do hit the replay in the video. Thank you very much. Well, Danny, you have fun with your buddies, and you enjoy it, and then watch us later. If you got any questions, put them in there. All righty. Dimbunga, Jim Ron, what are your thoughts on the TDGM ATM shaft? All right, that is the True Temper Dynamic Gold Ascending Mass Technology weight shafts. I have a good buddy who is a solid ball striker, but has struggled since getting those shafts better to go with constant weight. Well, maybe. The ascending mass technology is not like this. It's a half a pound and it's a pound and a half at the end. It's a slight sneak up on those. You might start at, let's just say, 108 grams and end up at 120 grams, something like that. That it's not like it's this tremendous amount. However, it depends because the AMTs came in 3 different colors, right? They came in a white, a red, and a black. And those are significantly different in their profiles, and that could be holding you back for a guy that's a solid ball striker. It's just that way. Now that if he's a solid ball striker and he's a low handicapper, much like you are, or anywhere close to a traditionalist, it's already in the golfer's head that these aren't working. So I don't know. I'm already past the fence and saying just change them out so your karma's a little bit better. But I've never been a fan of these. I was a fan of these things, assuming you get the weight and the profile proper. Then they're great, but it's really easy to get sidetracked on those. All righty. Does the lab putter come with a sweet spot? Charlie, I hope it's this big, brother. I hope it's that big. It's the so I kind of give you a preview. So the reason why I'm getting this lab putter is my Golf Spy selected me to do a review. I am a member of the forum. They asked me to, they asked, hey, is anybody interested in testing these types of clubs? And I said, yeah, sure, why not? And they picked me. I couldn't believe it. I thought certainly I'd never get picked because, well, I do this now, right? And so I didn't really know if I'd ever get selected, and sure enough, I was. And so they put you through this process, and I talked about this last week. They've got this video process, and he's got a program that when he sets you up, he can see some angles based on a door line or something along like that, and to help with lie angle and that kind of stuff. And so he and I actually had a pretty good conversation. I bet we talked for about 45 minutes and on putters and putting and the types and that kind of thing. And he asked me if I like the link and that stuff. And I said, yeah, I like it, but I've got a center shafted blade and it's horrible. I've never putted very good with it. And it's just in the bag as a display model. And he says, oh, they're here. And he started telling me why. And, the more he talked with me, the better off I was. I was like, yeah, he's right. And I said, so here's what I've got now. And I told him the make field, and I got the BGT in it. And we started talking about the shafts. And he's very big with the low torque shaft, and I'm down with that. And he told me about how this thing works. And I said, well, I tell you what, I said, Sam, you pick the head. I'm good to go. I'll go in and order it. He goes, all right. So he says the Mez Max, no sweat. And I get on there, and the Mez Max is a shape that kind of goes out and then comes back down. And it's a little bit bigger than the Mez. A little more forgiving. I get it. A little more MOI. And it's got all these weights on it and to help keep it so that it stays in line when you putt. That seems pretty interesting. The thing that's going to be awful weird is when we normally see where the shaft goes right into the front of the face, right where it goes in the front. This one does not. This is center shafted and it's offset maybe about this much. That's probably visually going to take some getting used to. But we're going to see. I'm going to give it a shot. That's the reason why I've been out putting. We're going to use Capto. We're going to give it a ride. It's going to be a lot of fun. So you're going to see it on these when I set up for the live streams. It'll talk, and I will tell you that I'm talking with the lab owner, and we'll go from there. But be prepared, man. The dude loves to talk about that putter. Hey, Jim Robin, just taking delivery. You did that. 120 Pro shafts, nice. Won them on an online raffle, nice. And a new number 7. All right. Oh, you rolled your ankle. Playing cricket, just like your little picture shows you right there. Well, put that bad boy in a splint, get some rest, and get ready to get out there and tell us how you did. So I'm telling you, those are really nice clubs. Alex Biggs, what do you say, sir? When building a bore-through driver with a graphite shaft, using the pin in it doesn't expand in the bottom of the shaft like a cut steel shaft. Using the pin, it doesn't expand the bottom of the shaft like in a cut steel shaft. Oh, whoa. No. Now, we got to clarify this a little bit, Alex, and here's why. When you're talking about the steel, in a lot of those cases, what you're talking about is the steel shaft has been cut and it's got 5 sides on it or 5 cuts in it. And when you put that in there, it gives it that look of being expanded by that plug. When in reality, you're making the cut so that the shaft can get smaller and actually fit through the bore through. And then when you put the pin in, it gives it this look like it's trying to do that. The reality of it is you're cutting it so that it sits like this. When you make the 5 cuts, you can make the shaft a little bit smaller and it fits in there and it's tighter. All right. You can do the same thing with graphite. Same thing. Now, in one of these graphite pieces, if you get it so you can put it in there, and it depends on the make and model too. But if you can get the shaft, it just goes right in there and it sets, more power to you. And then you don't need to make those cuts, and you're putting the pin in the bottom as dressing. Now, put the pin in. All right, just put the pin in. Take my word for this one. Put the pin in. And why is that? Because you allow a whole bunch of, there's just a gaggle of crud that's going to run right up inside that shaft. Heat, wet, dew, grass, dirt, you name it, it's all going to get in there. It's going to cause rattles. It's going to cause premature failures, the whole 9 yards. Just put the pin in, hack it off, finish it up, and you'll be better off for it. Because when people see it and it doesn't have the pin in it, they're going to go, ooh. All right. A lot of people talk about this extra distance after a fitting, but more distance isn't always the biggest gain. You are correct again. Accuracy and centerness of contact and consistency is the goal. Now, PZ, smarter words have never been said by a Marine. When we do a lot of the fittings, particularly with drivers, the one of the biggest parameters I use is smash factor. How do we get that smash factor up into the best we possibly can? And it's exactly what you're talking about, centerness of contact. And can we do it more than once? Right? Can you do it more than once? And that's, I am infamous for that saying in here, that hey, great hit, do it again. What? Do it again. Hit me another one just like that again. And if you get close, all right, do it again. We're trying to drive up the consistency, centerness of contact, getting all where, do it again in order to be able to ensure you're going to get that performance. To knock one 300 and you just, all the plants align and you're there and it was a great shot, and then you can't reproduce it, that doesn't help anything. Right. In fact, I take if a guy says, like, for instance, I had one guy hit one 300 once. Now, that's a great shot, but that's not the average to expectation. He was about 285, right? 285, close, bucking up against 290, but in 300 was a long shot. So out that one goes. And then when he creams one into about 250, that one goes as well, so that we have a good representation. And you're right. You're absolutely right. I am loving my Directed Force Lab putter. It goes where you point it, and with so much MOI. Danny, I'm glad you like it, buddy. When that thing first came out, I thought I just thought it was a branding iron. I thought, gee, man, Christmas, heat this thing up, man, and you can put some cows to pasture with that thing. But you're right. It's soft. The one thing is all aluminum, and I didn't like the feel of it and the clunk sound. But it did everything he said it would go do, but I just couldn't get past that look. And I told him so. And and the other ones are, they got a steel putter, so it's got a different feel, but the same tech in it. I think that one probably should be a very well received putter if people can go look at it. All right. Some am I again. All right. All right. Here we go. Alex Big again. Well, same thing. When building a bore through with a graphite, is the bore pin supposed to expand and lock the shaft in place? No, we already talked about that one. All right. But hopefully you got the understanding. It's like I got a... All right. Sorry, I got to do this, but man, I feel like I got a cotton ball right on top of my eye. All right. How are you, Jim and Robin? Just got done cutting the grass after making a rack of ribs. Oorah. Oh, I got to show you that one. That was probably the piece that didn't come in here. Enjoy some scotch and cigars and the show. Thank you, sir. Let's do that. All righty, and then let's go back up here. Ah, that was the one that didn't load. That's the reason why I didn't show it to you. All righty. So, yeah, we did a pork shoulder this weekend, and I'm thinking it turned out pretty good. Everybody else eating it thought so. All righty. How does a steep ball striker angle of attack down 6 down with a 7-iron need a thinner or thicker sole +2 golfer? Well, it depends. So that's an angle of attack, and it is very steep to be sure. However, it depends on when you're swinging through. You can be steep and still catch the ball thin. Okay, or that's kind of a bad way of saying it. When everybody say, "Oh, you got a six down angle of attack," and you expect to have this monster divot, and you go through. Well, you can be making that could be because the hands are way leading it, and you're coming down, and you're pulling through, and you get the cleanest hits on the world, and then all of a sudden they're taking their 7-iron and hitting it like most people will hit their 6 or even their 5, and that's pretty much how it goes. Now, if they're picking it, obviously a thinner sole will work better. If they're taking these monster divots and they're getting all this, they're getting pulled and their shoulders are going ouch, 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 or they're complaining about elbow pain, then yeah, the thicker ones. Again, I like the rounded sole if you can find one, a thicker sole in order to help them bounce out of the turf. And there's the way I would go with it. Now, that's me recommending it. In every recommendation, there has never been a firm, this is what you've got to have. Okay. Every golfer is different. We all know that we're weird. And I could say, this is the way to go. And tomorrow you can tell me, well, I just hit this other one. I hit it 100 times better. It was completely opposite of what you said. True. You could have. Go do it again. And do it again. And do it again. And if it works, then it's yours. But on the average, these are all based on averages. That's what we're coming up with. All righty. Oh, no. You can thank Charlie for this one, bud. This is Glenfiddich 15 Sherry Cask. It's pretty spectacular. All righty. Hey, Brian Stiver's back with us. What do you thought? What are your thoughts about getting fitted for wedges through OEMs as opposed to going through somebody like Mike Taylor at Artisan and having wedges custom built through that avenue? Well, Brian, it depends on your level of knowing what it is you want out of your golf clubs. Taylor at Artisan Golf is pretty nice, right? But you've got to know, there's a couple of things you got to know. Number one is how you wedge the ball. Number two is where you're wedging the ball and how you're doing your turf interaction, and whether or not you're going to be an artiste or something along that lines. And in most cases, I won't say all, but in most cases, like Cleveland, Callaway, Mizuno, all have, even Titleist, right? They all have several variations of sole grinds. They have several variations of bounces and that kind of stuff. So certainly you could find one in kind of a hunt and peck maneuver. And if you know what's going on, you can gravitate right towards it and say, no, I like this one better, I like this one better, and kind of maybe go either way. That would be that one. At Artisan, At Artisan, they're going to hand grind you some stuff, and know where you're going. And these guys, I would suspect, are extraordinary at understanding how wedges work and getting where you want to go. If you're a single digit handicapper looking to go low, probably look at Mike Taylor maybe, because he's going to give you that one extra stroke, of which it is really hard to get that one. But if you're a guy that's struggling breaking 90, or maybe even 85 to 95, then maybe just the OEM. All right. Bill Nauman. What should someone look for when trying to find a golf instructor for lessons? Ooh, well, number one, I would say it's akin to being like a going to a fitter. Whether we know it or not, we have internally things that we learn in different ways, right? Some learn by do, some learn by reading, some learn by both. And I would talk with the instructor and ask them their process for giving you a lesson. And if it comes out that what they're telling you makes sense, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be okay. If it doesn't make sense, ask some more questions. And then maybe just start with a lesson. And if you don't like it, don't go back. If you do like it, set up for some more. Another thing that you can look at, but is not necessarily required, but it's a good indicator that you're going to somebody good, is somebody with some certificates in that particular field. They don't necessarily have to be a PGA person. There are other PGA TTGS or something like that. They're golf instructor schools, and they that's all they do. That's all they do. You might find some good ones in there. And then every once in a while, there's a diamond in the rough that has never been to any of those, but can get through some of the basics, right? Get you through the basics. Like me, I can get you through the basics, but as far as getting that fine tuning down, that's not me. That's somebody who does all of that, and go from there. But ask some questions. Check out how they want to do this, how they want to teach you. Are you comfortable? Some people may take you to a golf range. Some people may own a golf range. Some people may take you to a golf course. It's all in what you're comfortable with. And you put all that together, and if you like it, go. All right. It was, Charlie. The course was in really, really good shape even after a sizable rain. Only 2 holes with real standing water on it. So yeah, I was really happy. Yeah, and I'm real happy how that turned out. I was like shocked. I just kept writing scores and moving on. I thought, okay, well, I'll get something out of it, and turned out it was not too bad. The club of choice that was working well for me the best was my A wedge. I had about a 25-yard span of range of how to use that thing to get it where I wanted it to go. All righty. Efren Nava, what do you say? Gilbert, Arizona, nice. What's my thought on the new Cobra Putters? If you're talking about the 3D printed ones, I've actually had a couple in here. They look nice, but I wasn't able to hit them, so I couldn't tell you anything about the feel. And again, in most cases, it comes right down to it. Can you look over it well? Does it fit your stroke? Is it the right loft and lie? That kind of stuff. But they didn't seem to be bad. So, yeah. If they feel good, I wouldn't have a problem gaming them. But right now, I'm going to play with the lab putter. Yeah, those things they're actually pretty nice. Krister, how are you, sir? Now, those are 2 words I would not have seen in a sentence together. Hot and Sweden. That just doesn't sound correct for some reason. But very good. And I did see another one of your videos, man. I saw that hitch. I don't know if that's what you're trying to get out of it. When you were using that thing with that was putting the elbows together and you were swinging, smoothest I ever saw. It was beautiful, straight back, straight forward. And then that one at the range, it was like you got right here and you got in and you got kind of stuck. I don't know if that was what you're looking for or not, but I'm just trying to help a brother out. Dennis Hood, nice score even with the 3-putt. Yeah, I know. Thank you very much, by the way. Have you ever used a leather putter grip or other club grips? They're costly, but last 3 to 5 years. Yeah, so I've got a master grip on one of my, well, that very putter I was telling you about, that one that's center shafted, and it's green, and it started getting kind of slickery. I tried cleaning it off, and I ended up cleaning off a lot of the color that was put into the leather, and I don't like that. But yeah, I've put on a bunch of those types of grips, and initially they are massively sticky. I am not real certain on how they stay sticky or not, but I've always been told that get the leather, and once they get worn, a little bit of saddle soap, and they come right back. But I can only imagine it's a good feel, though. There we go. Deuce, what do you say, man? Krister, want to build a Wishon 919 THI mini driver. I play 9-degree loft, but with a short shaft like this, should I get a higher lofted head like an 11? No. Stay with the 9. You'll absolutely think it's great. Unless you're going to try and hit it off the deck a lot, then yeah, you probably want to bump it up 1 or 2. Now remember, they come with a bendable hosel, so if you're going to get shorter and you need to want to go up lie angle maybe just a little bit, you can have that done as well. I think I'm using the Rashawn Red. I like the Rashawn White. Just too stiff in the middle. I'm not big on the Wishon shafts to be clear. I'm not real big with them. I'm not sure was the white. The white is the most flexible. The red's in the middle, and the black is the most stiff, as I understand it. But you've been kind of partial to heavier shafts too. If you're going to go 43.5, you might consider a 70-gram shaft instead, or an 80 for that matter. Man, hi guys, yard work is done. A lot of talk, man. South Dakota, hoo-wee. Have a PGA Ralph Maltby Club fitting plan. New day, good old stuff. Oh my God, yes. Yep, I still have one of his original ones as well. My dad went to university out there in South Dakota. So that's pretty cool. Never been other than driving through it. To get back, I was leaving Connecticut and going to Washington State for the Navy. Nice. We have soccer all week, and today's sunshine was appreciated. Very good. I was like, she got 6 scrubs planted. All righty. It would be fun. I got some new chairs, man. All righty. Phil Care, the last fitting questions. What head do you use while fitting length? I have an old Maltby head, Phil. It's nothing special. It was literally what I could get the most of at the fastest point. It's a KE4 with a weight in it. And that's what it is. I have some lefty ones that are a different lefty model, and then I actually have some even shorter models for ladies that I use, the old Maltby ladies, the very first ladies model. And because honestly, at that particular point when you're just measuring for length, it really doesn't matter. Right? I just like if you get as much down the middle as you can, you're good to go. I'm glad I guess I need to start visiting there again and read a review. Yeah, they're getting ready to. There's a big thread on that one, and we're getting ready to go down for that Pinehurst trip, so that's taken off internally too. That ought to be fun. Matt's playing that one too. My dog Rex, hit that thumbs up, students. There we go. Matt's planning a trip down. Mark Melikowski. Man, what do you say, sir? How are you? Can you expound on the center shafted blade thing being no good? It was on me, PZ. So I've got and it is the name just escaped me. And it's a upper end shaft. I carried them. Oh, Paretti's. I can still touch Paretti's, I suppose. And I really wanted a bladed center shafted model, and those are really hard to come by. And literally what they're doing is they're cutting off the hosel, and then welding it in the middle, and that's what I had. And the reason why I struggle with it so much, I believe, is because it was very light. All right, it's very light, and I just was waving it. Now it felt good when I putted it. It just wasn't going. I couldn't square the club, just couldn't do it, and so it went into the bag. And the worst part about it is really super nice. It's German stainless steel, the whole 9 yards. However, there was something about it that I just couldn't square it, and there's no place to add any weight other than tape. And when you got that kind of putter, you're not putting tape on it. So I just let it set, and that's what we were doing. Now I like center shaft. Everything else I've got is center shafted. It was just with that blade. Had my eye on the irons for a while with the V-sole turf interaction, as I need carpet fitter to replace my divots. Yeah. Well, the 7 is the narrowest of the three, Pooh. But the beveled edge, the bevel will work really well for what you're doing. And over there, probably not too bad because, I mean, short of getting into the heather or something like that. But if you're out in the middle, it's going to be for the makeup of the turf and stuff like that. It should be pretty good. Jake Wilson, how do I find a spine on a steel shaft? Where are the correct positions to put the spine? Well, Jake, the in a spine finder, and what it's a tube about yay with bearings in it, and it's the holes in the middle are big enough so the shaft can go through. Take the third bearing and you pull down on it, and if it's a very large spine, the shaft will literally turn on its own, and boing, there you go. Now, what you might do is you might have to turn it a little bit as you're pulling down, and you turn a little bit, and also go foomp, and it'll catch and it'll find its place. And you mark a line on the top. That's the hard side. Okay, and some people would argue that. Anyway, what I do is I put that at 12 o'clock. I put that in line with the toe of the club. A lot of people will say you want to put it towards the target if you want it to kick less, away from the target if you want it to kick more. I don't buy that. Only because I've seen some some high speed camera work with this kind of stuff. And we started out at noon because there was a thing on not allowing spining and flowing. But if you left it at noon, you were okay because that was keeping the club round. And because the club bent down, you were good to go. Now, and that's why I've just done it since the beginning. Could you put it at 3 o'clock or put it at 9 o'clock? Yeah, you could. Heck, you could put it at 6 o'clock if you wanted to. But what you'll find out is if you do this long enough, if you've got it going like this and you twang down and it goes up and down, that if you twang back and forth, it does it going that way as well. All right, what is this? Doing something I haven't done in 20 years, walking 18 holes. Truck driving forced this. Shot an 83 for the first 2 rounds. Hope all is well with y'all. Well, good for you, brother. That's if we're walking 18. Awesome. That's the way you want to do it right there. Okay. Best paints for stamping and custom colors. I use, so over there might not be the same as over here, but what I use is stuff that that the auto industry uses for pinstriping, and it's called over here. I think it's called First Stripe or something along that lines. Word first is in the name of the product, and they use it on pinstriping. In fact, this last time I bought some on eBay of all places, and it came with a brush kit to be able to paint the pinstripes on cars. I'm like, well, that's kind of cool. And but I got like 5 colors for what I needed it to do. But pinstriping paint is what I tend to use. It's a little bit more durable, right? It's a little more durable. Now, out there, people will use tester's paint, and it works for a time, but I don't think it stays very long. But anything in the automotive industry from that kind of avenue is what I would suggest. What are your thoughts on the new Maltby irons? Well, I haven't seen the newest ones yet, Jake, but they normally send us a new catalog so I can see them. If you're talking about, they have a new TS line, they have a new TS club. I like the look of the TS clubs. I like them all, as a matter of fact. Anything that they've made that's in a forged or multi-piece, not a problem. It's always going to work really, really well. The casting ones and the ones that want to be more forgiving, I like them. I think they're a little more clunkier than most, but they still get the ball out there. But in those ones where the forged models, you could be out. I mean, was it the 2 was the competitor to the TaylorMade, the P790. You'd stand them up side by side, and I bet they perform the same. All righty. There's Simon. He's watching us on Facebook. Yeah, there you go. Bob's watching. Mike Hoffman, good day. McCleary's from Scranton. All right. Build a set of Takomo 101s for a friend and Maltby 5CS for myself. Just wanted to pop in and say hello. Well, thank you, sir. Good. What do they think of those 101s? Hello. How do you get it to be a TaylorMade and Callaway fitter? Well, John, I actually went to Callaway in California, and we went over a fitting, but I was already as an established fitter in my own system. And after winning a few awards, they sought to bring me out there. I am not what they would be a registered TaylorMade fitter, but their product is very similar, so you're not too far off. But if you wanted to, you'd have to contact both the OEMs, probably start up an account and tell them that you were going to do that, and they would be more than happy to put you through their system. All right. I can't believe Mrs. McGolf hasn't come out here and given me yet. Michael Moody, is there any way to add weight to a putter without putting tape on it? Oh, there are 2 ways, one of which I do like and one of which I do not. The one is if they have removable weights, which a lot of them do, is to exchange them and put heavier weights in. Another one is to put weight down the shaft and then put a cork in it. I'm not a fan of that, but that's just the way it is.
I'm enjoying the front porch.
Oh, is that what it is?
That's what it is. I knew it was 640. I knew.
Oh, 640.
It's now 44.
Yep, we're getting close. All right, NP Cobra Tech Forge Tech X irons been easily up to 3 degrees and a potential weak lofts without damage Looking to go 1 inch length 2, 1 shaft. So the Forge Tech, you could probably go 3. You could probably bend 3 degrees. Forge clubs as a unit normally are good for about 4 degrees. Those were on single billet forges, though. You have to be careful about this one. Can you get 3? Yeah, I think 3 is not a problem in any case whatsoever. But if this is one where the face is actually inserted into the body, when you start approaching that, you want to be careful. You don't want to pop the face out. Do I think it's going to happen? No, but you can do that. And extending the length, I would get the same material and extend them, and you should be good to go. Mr. Wilson from Australia. Well, that's morning to you then. Thanks for the videos. Just a beginner, but I learned so much. Well, you are more than welcome, Padawan. TS1, 1M, TS4 are the new models. Ah, all right. Well, the TS1M, I'm pretty sure I know what that is. The 4 I haven't seen, so we'll have to take a look, and maybe I can talk with Britt for a while and see what's going on. Maybe they can send me if they... See, the real trouble with these is they don't make anything like that in left-handed, and I can't test them to let you guys know what's really going on. I just know how they make their stuff, being a long-time friend of them since 99, and knowing how they go about doing things. So that's where it's at. All righty. With that, we got down to the bottom, guys and gals. So again, if you would, like, subscribe, hit that stuff across the bottom. Watch for the video tomorrow. It should come out around 7 o'clock my time, which is Eastern. And we'll talk about the other shafts that we tested. And again, we want to keep in mind when we do these shaft testings, it's not about that they're bad or good. It's just about the fit for me, and we can go from there. But it's a pretty good educational / fun to find out kind of video. So hopefully you guys like that part of it. Okay, guys. So got to get going. As always, thank you so very much, and let's see your scores go low.